Alright, Shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders and bishops that taught me this truth that rule well. Shalom to the elect scattered through the four corners of the earth. My name is Kodash Payah, and as you can see here, this is an article on CNN where it says TSA workers face reality of working without pay as passengers unaware of the shutdown see long lines. So you have long lines because they've been canceling flights. TSA, there's no TSA workers, right? So it threatens, the CEOs basically to come to basically shut down the airports. Maybe not permanently, but that's a lot of, that's a lot of flights, right? And then due to this whole war conflict going on with the oil, it's also raising up the prices. And even with the pilots, they might end up not working like that, because to refuel these major these planes, tickets is gonna go up. So it's a big thing right now, because it's a trickle effect, right? Not just with TSA workers, not with, because of this whole partial shutdown of the government, So say if they do end up, fully shutting down because of, whatever the treasury, or, having enough to pay for workers to come back, or whatever the case may be, But this also reminded me of a precept in the scripture in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 17. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." So that's in a form of traveling. A man shall desire to travel from city to city, state to state, and is not going to be able, right? Not going to be able to fly. You're not going to be able to, because this oil, situation is going to affect buses. It's going to affect, people traveling in that way. Buses, cabs, your own car. You gotta have people probably sell their cars and take trains and stuff from now on, right? Which even that's gonna be restricted on how to travel through the trains underground. How to, as far as payment system goes. But it says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," because that's also, in a form of a what's that called? Like border patrols, right? It says, "For because of their pride, the cities shall be destroyed." Salakia. "The cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid," right? So it says the city shall be troubled. So we're about to face troubled times in cities that people reside in, primarily in Babylon the Great, which is America. But these war conflicts going on is affecting different countries and states, financially, But so it's gonna end up affecting, the way you trade, and imports and exports with the ships. And so it's only gonna accumulate worse and worse, right? That's why this other precept fits into what I'm speaking about now. Verse 19, where it says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So this is going to cause as well, right? Lack of bread, because You're gonna have necessities and commodities start to rise up, prices, shelves start to empty, people panic buying. One thing is gonna lead to another. And people, like the scriptures say, for iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Because iniquity, matter of fact, let me see iniquity. Let me get that in the NLT actually. So, alright, we got it in the NLT. Real quick, this is the book of St. Matthew chapter 24 verse 12. It says, sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. Alright? So in the KJV it would say basically iniquity shall abound. So it's gonna increase everywhere. Right? Hey, we at the end. And people is gonna turn cold upon each other, especially with people gonna defend their children first before anyone else. Alright? Senior citizens and people like that, they're gonna feel it first. You see? And people are not going to pity one another when it comes to starvation, famine. You see? So, over here, this is another, hold on, Salakia. Right, in the Financial Times, where it says, oil in Oman soars above $150,000 as buyers rush to replace Gulf barrels. So, if you are in the know, that been watching what's been going on, with the ships, right, in the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, then you understand. It says closure of Strait of Hormuz has caused growing dislocation between global benchmarks and cost of physical supplies. So the supply chains is about to skyrocket soon with all this happening. And then it says omen. So it is an omen, right? When you look at that, hold on, let me see something real quick. You look at, no, not translate, right? Let's go to Webster's, right? Now let's go to, yep, the etymology of the word omen. It says a nation in Arabia supposedly named for its founder, recorded from Roman times. But basically, an omen is like a demon, like a spirit, to cause or erupt certain things. Right? Hold on. Let me get it, because everything is spiritual when you read it. But it's going into like the regions of the lands. But it has a spiritual meaning, as it says here, refers to a deep cultural and religious journey within the Sultanate, defined by Islamic tradition, ancient Frankincense heritage, respectful, peaceful. But anyway, let's go back. Where is that? Alright, so this is another headline which says, creepy new laws will mean your car monitors you 24/7, eyes, skin, and even your breath. Right? So that's that whole artificial intelligence grid being designed with these towers, with these facial recognition, with this technology, you know? So it could capture your face and go through your emails and know, you know what I mean, with your jobs and how many jobs you had, your background, and all your information will pop up, you know? And they could rate you as a potential threat if you put up anything on social media that they don't like, or, you know, going against policy. And they, you know, even if you planning on committing a crime before you even commit the crime, because they've been talking about that. You know, they show you that in the movie Minority Report, I believe. You know? So this also ties in with the whole, you know, traveling situation and seeing where it's leading to as far as the grid, you know? But I want to get this real quick. In the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 21, it says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right? So I brought that up because it's showing, it's a prophetic vision that Esther saw of what victuals being cheap on earth and people thinking themselves to be in good case. Like, you know, business as usual. We're going to work. We're going to party. We're going to, you know, right? The next day, same thing, you know. But things are throughout war, throughout these current events, prophetic events, people are going to see, or feel rather, the consequences of it. Victuals going into like food and things like that, you know. It says, you know, even then, right, evils grow upon earth. So evils are growing. Things are getting worse. It says sword, right? People killing each other. People getting locked up. Look at ICE. Famine, right? You're about to start seeing the lack of bread, right? And great confusion. You know? Are we not in the time? Hey, this place is confused. It's called the land of confusion. Hey, but the scriptures say what? The Lord is not the author of confusion. So if you're watching and you're praying and you watching these current events and filtering it through the scriptures and prophesying, you know, I mean, through prophecy, you're not going to be confused on why these current events is happening the way it is. You know? And when you read the scriptures, you're like, oh, then you understand. All right? This was another headline. It says passengers reportedly sleep on airport floors as thousands of flights are canceled. You know? So if they shut airports down, that's a major thing as well. You know? I want to get another precept in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 40. It says, O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to thy battle. And in those evils, be even as pilgrims upon the earth. You know? A pilgrim is what? Matter of fact, we know what it is, but just for edification's sake, let's go web search. Pilgrims. Pilgrims were 17th century English. No. What is the definition of a pilgrim? A pilgrim is a person who undertakes a long, often challenging journey to a sacred or foreign place for religious, spiritual, or moral purposes. Right? So a traveler, a sojourner, someone in a strange land, someone traveling, right? So it says what? Let's go back. Did not we read the other scripture where it says even evils shall grow? Let's read 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse 40 again. It says, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, which we're getting ready mentally, physically, spiritually for, these prophecies to unfold in its highest state. Right? But anyway, it says, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon earth, right? Because, to travel, you're going to need that chip. You're going to need that new digital currency inside your body. And that's what all of this is boiling down to. So they got that great reset. So they got to cripple society through the traveling, through the medical, through the schools, through the finance, the economy, way of war, all of that. Then they could reset order out of chaos. So anyway, with that, because it's not just about the airport. It's just a scapegoat to understand where it's gonna lead to. Right? Because it's a domino effect. Or a chain effect, a chain reaction. Because everything is connected. So it's not just when one thing is affected, everything else is affected. In society, just like a body. You have an infection in your body. Different parts is gonna be affected. So anyway, just wanted to blow the trumpet on that real quick. Just a quick update, quick headlines. Hope it was edifying, straight to the point. Till next time, shalom.
Shalom.